lot of attention has been given to the actual game, but I really want to talk about the halftime show, because to me, as much as the game was highly anticipated, I think that for a lot of people, what was equally just as highly anticipated was the halftime show presentation that featured just a star-studded, heavy hitters, heavyweights in the music industry. You had the Los Angeles music legends, you had rapping legends with Dr. Dre out of Compton and Snoop Dogg, who is from Long Beach, and you had Eminem, who we hadn't seen in a long time. You had Kendrick Lamar, you had Mary J. Blige, and 50 Cent made a cameo as well. And I think that it was just kind of just as electrifying, that halftime show, as the actual environment, as the actual atmosphere was at SoFi in Los Angeles, just for the game, because the scene of how they put it all together was fantastic. I think it was one of the best overall when you look at the quality of the performances, of the performers, of the camera execution, of the production standpoint. I think it was one of the best Super Bowls that we've seen in recent years. I think that it's up there with Katy Perry's in 2015. I thought that J-Lo and Shakira in 2020 was a really good halftime show. I thought that Madonna in 2012 was very good. When Aerosmith performed, I think it was 2000 and either 2 or 2006. I'm blanking on the year that Aerosmith performed. That was a very good halftime performance. We saw Bruce Springsteen has done it. The Rolling Stones, the Rolling Stones performed at halftime. But there was something about this West Coast tour for Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Eminem and Lamar and Mary J. Blige and 50 Cent that was just enthralling to watch. And I think that it was not only an incredible throwback to those LA legends, and again, I think it was only fitting that those guys would be featured at this Super Bowl. But you're talking about A-list rappers and performers who really bridged the gap between hip hop, R&B, and the rap game, and made it a much more culturally acceptable thing. They kind of made hip hop, rap, R&B mainstream. And I think that that's why it's so compelling, this specific cast of characters at the halftime show, because you have Dr. Dre, who obviously rose to fame when he was with the NWA, and that was with Ice Cube and G-Eazy in the late 1980s and the early 1990s. That was when he kind of rose to prominence. You had Snoop Dogg, who was starting to take center stage in the mid 1990s as well. So those two guys were getting it going during that time period. Eminem in the early 2000s, Ice Cube in the early 2000s, Mary J. Blige in the mid 1990s. So this was the culmination of some of the most legendary artists that really revolutionized the music industry. Again, these weren't just kind of prolific stars in their own right. This wasn't just simply trying to pluck the biggest name in the music industry. No, these were revolutionary artists during their time period. And in a lot of ways, they were connected to one another in so many ways. You have the fact that still the DRE is one of the best. Still, DRE is one of the best songs that's come out. That features Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eminem. These guys were so many of them were a part of one another's success, especially their early career success. You had 50 Cent, who one of his best songs, Many Men, now that was produced by Eminem. People forget that Eminem's produced songs. They've been on the covers of one another's songs for years. We just haven't seen them because it's almost like they've been stored in some like deep, treasure chest of music artists that just kind of got reemerged, that we brought back to the forefront, that we haven't seen in such a long time. It's almost like it's almost like the game Jumanji. You stuff it away for years and years, then all of a sudden you bring it back and it comes to life again. And I just think that you think about Snoop Dogg and how he just drips with LA swag. The guy's got great rhythm, great flow. Dr. Dre is still dominant. All of these artists still command a room. Eminem with his moving music. How much his music motivates and inspires. Kendrick Lamar, I think, is a rapping genius. I just think that from a lyricist and from a guy who can access intelligent and compelling points and express it beautifully in music and in specifically rapping, it's second to none. He's a savant at what he does. And I think that Mary J. Blige really changed the game when it comes to soul and R&B music, especially with female singers. And she was, again, very prominent in the mid 1990s. And you combine all of these incredible musicians together, and you put them and you showcase them at the forefront. The fact that you also brought, again, 50 Cent making his little cameo appearance as well. I just thought that all of them were extremely well prepared. I thought that they executed at an extremely high level. They delivered. And oftentimes people get so enamored simply with the performers, and we forget the fact that they're not just performing for the fans at the venue. This isn't just for the fans at SoFi Stadium. This is about executing a halftime show that is going to be intriguing, that is going to be captivating for millions and millions of people watching at home and in the United States, across the world. And I thought that from the production standpoint, I thought that it was aesthetically really appealing, really pleasing to the eye. I thought that from the camera angles, the lighting, the choreography, to the outfits, everything was on point. I thought it was executed at an extremely high level. I thought it was really appealing. I thought it was captivating in many ways. It really hit on and resonated with everyone, I think, in a lot of ways, from every single kind of background that you come from. And I just think that from that execution standpoint, it was one of the best that I've seen, and it was only fitting that they would go all out in that halftime show. There's no other way to do it if you're doing a halftime show in Los Angeles, and it certainly lived up to that billing. It did not disappoint at all, and it was entertaining. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want great performers. You want them to perform at their best on the biggest stages, and it doesn't really get much bigger than that. And they executed, and it was fantastic to watch.